Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me. Today is just a fun little video on some no-sew journaling. I have lots of these bigger scraps that I need to start using up, and I've already kind of pre-folded a bunch of signatures, but I'm not really into sewing right now. So here's more. I thought maybe I'd do a no-sew version. So this is the first one I made. Pretty simple. It's glued in. So all I do is have fun kind of gluing these pages together and creating these little journals with scrap papers. And what I like to do is in front of the TV, most likely, I tend to just start gluing little small mini pieces like this. So maybe 10 pages together and different lengths for different journals. So here's another one that I just glued together. And then eventually, once I've got enough of these done, I will then put these together to determine what size thickness journal I want. So here's some shorter ones. These have some finished works in them for my rose journals that I've been slowly working on. So I have this one put together, which I will then probably glue to something like this with a strip and build the journal that way. So I thought we'd just do some crafting today together and build some more of these, because I really enjoy doing it. It's very relaxing. There's not a lot of overthinking things, which right now my brain with the new year, I feel like has had a lot of overthinking. So I just use my ruler and some glue, and I just tear, or even if you have your smaller scraps handy, you can do that as well. Let's make a little bit of room here. So if you have smaller scraps that you want to use up, then this is the centers are perfect for that. So I don't even worry about the length of the scrap I'm using, because I think it's really fun. I'll show you one here. Do I have one handy? I think it's really fun when they kind of peekaboo through the length, right? So this bigger page is glued to a smaller page, and so on and so forth. And I think it just adds some fun visual texture to the journal. But if you like something a little neater, a little bit more organized, then by all means, you want to take your time and kind of make it nice and tidy, go ahead. So I am just going to glue. So what's nice about this is you don't have to think too hard. You just glue right up against the edge, press down, and then you're going to just fold it. Fold the crease. You could, of course, fold the paper first if it's easier for you. Fold that little insert. So what you want to pay attention to is that these edges here are lined up together so that the spine of the book stays flat. Okay, so there's one. Give it a little press down. So the next page, I might rip this one. Doesn't even have to be straight. And then I'll take some more folded paper and glue that one. So run the glue up the ridge here. And then all I do is line up where I want this paper. So you can make it tall, you can center it, you can put them wherever you like. You stagger them. You can make them all even at the bottom here. So it is a lot of fun to do. This is nothing new. This has been done before, of course, but I have really enjoyed doing it. And then you can use things like envelopes. You can glue envelopes like a page. Here's a scrap here. I'm not even worried about it being straight. If you feel you need to fold it first to make that alignment a little easier, go for it. Slap some glue down. And it's just kind of a crafty afternoon, you know, though it's morning time here. This is what I do when I find I'm not sure what I want to do. I just glue paper. And then we'll do a cover. So I'm just try to make sure that my paper stays straight as best I can, and that spine stays level. So that also depends on, you know, how you folded your papers. So that's it so far. So if you've got things like envelopes, so let's see what I've got in here. I just pulled out a bunch of stuff, some nice scraps using this one. That one's a bit chunky, that envelope. Here's an old, nope, that's not an envelope. Here's an envelope. So these I coffee dyed and they stuck together. Rookie mistake. Just peel that off. Got an envelope there. Another one. Just pulling out some stuff here that maybe we can use. I'm going to show you. Again, using up, sometimes you get, well, almost always you get too many scraps and too many envelopes accumulated. And after my my clean out studio video, the tour that I did, I discovered way more stuff. And now I gotta use it up. So I'm just gonna glue this envelope in. This is something you can do after as well. You know, you don't have to do it as you go, but I like to do it as I go. Just glue the envelope in between that page. So then this one, maybe, I made these years ago out of Atlas Map. And they've been sitting in my desk doing nothing. So this one I can glue where it sticks up above the page. I like to see layers in my journal. I don't know why, I just like the unevenness of it and the surprise pop-up of papers, like seeing this on the other side. You know, it just appeals to me, but it's not for everyone, and I get it. At this stage, I'm not inking anything, just building up small bits and pieces of fun papers. Let's maybe use this one. So I'll use a strip. And we'll stick that down. Get rid of maybe some of this negative space up here. Stick it down, and it's even upside down, don't care, because you know, as you're using these journals or decorating these journals, writing in these journals, whatever you might use them for, a lot of this will get covered up again. So anything that's upside down doesn't bother me, because I just see it as textural element anyways. I don't see it as actual font. But if you're more of a perfectionist and things like that drive you nuts, then by all means, flip it the right way around. No worries there. I just press, and you can use your, you know, you can use this guy because that helps. You want to kind of manipulate the paper to do what you want. So there's my first signature. So let's make another. And again, you can just make this as thick as you want, but I'm not sure how thick I want my book, so I like to break it up into smaller signatures, and then I can decide what I want to do with it then. So maybe we'll this piece. Rough edges. Just have fun with it. And again, I just usually would just sit in front of the TV to do this. And hours go by. And it's now 2 in the morning, and I should probably go to sleep. I don't sleep much these days, which is very frustrating. But that's life. Put this here. So even when I put glue up here, I'll just let that dry. Just want to make sure I am even on the spine. Oh, this is fun. What's this? There's an envelope. Grab some more paper. Book pages, great great to use up all the millions of book pages we all have. So you want to bear in mind how wide you're making it too. So mine are pretty narrow. So this guy's a little bit too long. I'll tear that down. Or fold it over and glue it. Let's do that with this one. Actually, let's tear this right here. And let's fold this one. And let's glue this guy. I want it as close to the spine as possible. Okay. Go. So you can do something small here. So for example, you can just glue on another, let's do it with this guy. Another little flap out while you have this scrap in front of you. Just glue that right on there. So as you're flipping through, you got another one. And then let's do another piece right here. Try to use the scraps as I go. Just building up interest in the book. It's a good way to use up your scrapbooking papers from like 12 by 12 sheets. You got pieces left over. I don't often use those. I have some, but I don't think to use them very often anymore. I used to love using them, but now I find I like book pages. Probably because I'm in a very neutral phase right now. So you just want to make sure after you've built your book, what I do is I go back and make sure everything's glued down nice. So something like that, and it's already got some interest in it. Flip this one. That's an envelope. Got this guy. This is really pretty, so I don't want to cover that any more than I have already. Is that the one we did? We can put that. No, that's another one. Let me move the ones that I have made already. So yeah, and then we'll build one in just a second. Kind of getting in the way. Maybe something like this. I want to cover this. I really like that page. Let's do the front. So here's my spine. I can glue this page right to the white, but I do like some white showing through. So maybe I'll just do half like this and show this pretty tea-dyed paper. Show that nice dark edge. Okay, line it up nice and neat. So nothing new, just my take on it. And a no-sew journal. All right, let's do this last one and then we'll build a journal. Okay, put this guy here. So what I try to think about is when I have got my journal pages put together, so I'll grab some here. So I've got the ones put together already. I try to think about the strength of the page on the cover. So these papers are pretty strong because this is what's going to stick to the actual cover. So you don't want anything too thin or flimsy out here. Just because it's a little bit easier and to maintain the book and it doesn't fall apart easy. Does that make sense? I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So now I have my signatures, and I've decided I'm going to go with 3 of these. So about that thick. Different heights, you'll see. And I can stagger that height if I want. I'm going to put it to the base, and then if I want, I can trim this off. So I'm going to make this part as level as I can. And I'm going to glue these together, just like we did before, with a hinge. Paper hinge. You can use tape for this. Washi tape would be fun with a little bit of glue on it. I haven't tried that yet. But if you've got an abundance of washi tape, you're like, what am I going to do with all this washi tape? It could be a good binding agent for this style of journal. So just want to make sure my spine is as neat as I can get it. And I'm just going to push that in, open up where I glued. Just give it a good press. And then one more. Use this guy. And flip it over because it's thick. Line up the bottom as best I can. And fold it. It's even better to let it dry while it's, and then fold it, but there we go. So now I have my signatures put together. So let me press that one down. And now I want to put it, I want to give it a journal cover. So I've seen it where you can take a piece of fabric and glue all this and then put a piece of fabric over top, and then the flaps of the fabric can glue into the book. But I'm going to skip that part, and I'm just going to go straight to a cover. So I have this fun medical file that I got a bunch of these. I'm going to just cut this so it's a little bit more manageable on the desk. I love these little medical files, and when I cleaned out my studio and reorganized it a little bit, I found all these things again. And that I find is one of the problems when you have too much material. You forget what you have. And then it's just no fun, because you're like, I have all this cool stuff and I haven't used it. You know? What? Why collect it if you're not going to use it, right? Put that glue stick cover over there. Just going to make some space. This guy goes this way. Okay, so I'm an eyeballer, but you can measure. All of this, how big you want it, how small you want it. I'm going to roughly measure what size I want. So this comes up, is that in frame? This comes to about 4 1/8, I guess, if I want to bring the cover here. So I might make it the cover, let's say, make my life easier, make it 4 1/4, and it will be very close to the edge. So if you like a little bit of the cover going around a bit more, then you're going to want to go a little bit wider. Is it just this? No, there's quite a few pages there. So I am going to go, I think I'll go 3/8. So I'm going to put this guy, now this has a little thing, you can put that on the cover. You can maybe be creative and use this somehow as a closure. So this could be the front cover, but I'm going to do it to the inside, I think. Now I got to do math. Oh boy. So what did we say? 4 3/8. I think. Let me do it this way because I know this is straight, because this bottom piece is not straight yet. So 4 3/8 is where I want my first crease to be. And what's nice about these file folders is they're pretty much long enough for what I made, but I can chop it down after. Let's make sure I'm doing this right. Talking, thinking, explaining, and doing. Okay, so 4 3/4, did I say? What did I say? 3/8, right? Okay, so I'm going backwards here. What's my math? I believe it should be 5/6. 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to do that, score it. And then to make my life easier, I'm just going to move it to the 4 mark and then do 1/2 an inch. That I know is going to be thick enough for the amount of signatures I have. Now this file folder, maybe I should put it straight. This file folder is pretty thick, so I have to push really hard. And because it's thick, it likes to find its own groove. And then we'll go chop it at 4 3/8. If you hear some weird sounds, the TV's on in the other room. My family's watching a movie. And then I'm just going to chop off this screen tape piece here. I'm going to use this edge because I know it's straight. And I don't trust my cuts and folds. I don't use this very often, so it's I'm out of practice. I'll probably end up chopping a little bit of that too. It might be a little too tall for me. Okay, let's see if the folds worked. This one went a little wonky on me. So I've realized when you're scoring, it folds the opposite way of the score. So bear that in mind too. That's okay, I want to train this paper. I'm going to now remove this out of the way. And we'll push this down. It's pretty tough paper, so be pretty rough with it. See how crooked that is? Why is that so crooked? Did I cut it crooked? I think I just cut it crooked. Yeah, just right here. You know me, nothing's ever straight. Okay, so there we go. That's straight. I'm going to round these corners. Okay, there. That works. I can do something fun with this. And again, if you wanted to make that your closure, you know, you could fold this over and manipulate it so that it could be part of the closure too, if you've got something in mind for that. And then this is now going to just simply glue down these pages. So I'm going to tear this a little bit shorter because I don't want it to cover this in case I want to use it for something. Okay. And you can use a strong glue. I'm just going to use my glue stick for today. Just be pretty liberal and generous with it. Sorry if it shakes the camera. I do end up covering my nice yellow paper here. Aged paper, but c'est la vie. And then I just kind of sit it in the middle of the spine and plunk it down. And then just kind of move it where I want the length of the book to be. Nothing fancy. So this is where I will manipulate it now to line up where I want it. So you can see it, you want to get the spine in there. And then you're going to have to fold these outer pages. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Just make sure I glued it straight because that's something I can definitely screw up. So you'll see it's going to want to lift right in here, and that's totally normal. So what I do is I just kind of lift it up to the point where it naturally wants to stay like that, and then I'll manipulate this paper to allow it to do that, if that makes sense. There's probably better ways to do this. This is just my take on it because I like how simplified this procedure is. I don't need to overthink it. It makes a nice journal. And do the same on the other side with the other half. It's going to want to naturally lift. I just kind of manipulate that paper so it has a little movement in it. And that's it. So now I have it glued in, no sewing, fabulous, and I can decorate it. So some of the things I like to do while I have the scraps out still is just add some interest to them before I clean up everything. So I'm going to take these little bits of scraps I have left and create little mini clusters on these fold outs. Just for some fun. So we'll fold out there, got more paper in it. And then I can glue in my envelopes that I had kicking around. That one can stick out a little bit. Sorry, shaking the camera. Have that stick out. A little envelope there. Could throw some scraps in. Maybe some kind of fun interest on this side. So the more layers of paper glued in, the more fun I think you have decorating it. And a great way to use up all those random scraps that we all have. That's pretty. I'll leave that be. Go to some more scraps here. Image you really like. Glue it in. And you can just mass make these. Pull out your scraps. Pull out your bigger scraps. Try and glue straight, Michelle. And you can glue in your laces. You can glue in, you know, anything you like. I'm going to, different kinds of paper could be interesting as well. So like this real thin paper. Tissue paper, you know, Amazon packaging, which I always have a lot of kicking around from everybody ordering stuff in the house here. What else? What other scraps? There's some tissue paper. Because when you add these textures in, what's fun is that it gives you something exciting to play on when it comes to actually using the journal, whether you're going to use it for like an art journal, a recipe book, whatever it is that you're going to use it for. You've got some fun textures to play with in here. Just make sure, you do want to make sure that everything is glued down nice. Take your time with that. Just the wrinkly texture of this alone makes me want to paint on it. That's fun. Okay, that one's got a center already. So maybe we'll do, got the scraps here. Something fun down here. Cluster in here maybe. And I try not to overthink, and I just grab whatever papers, scraps I have. Just have fun gluing. It's like a glue book almost, but with a purpose, because it ends up being the book. So of course, you get to create a fun cover on here, whatever you want. Come on, stick down. My fingers are sticky. It's stickier than the page. Go. Fold outs. Oops. That's fun. Just like that, like these little mini pieces in here too. And this is what I like, where I can see a layer, a layer, a layer. Those are the kind of journals I like. All right, so I think you get the idea. And then of course you can do any kind of cover you want. Open it up. This is also what I like about this style journal, is it opens pretty flat, right? Even when you start chunking it up, with all your goodies in there, it's still gonna want to open flat, which is really nice to work in. Well, I hope that gave you some ideas. Like I said, you just kind of sit there and just start creating these glued up little fabulous little bits and pieces that you can eventually all just glue together, and all different heights based on your pieces of scraps. So here you go. I hope that gave you some ideas and some inspiration to create some no-sew journals. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.